The UX 360 Research Summit Europe 2026 is back for its sixth edition in Berlin on the 23rd and 24th of June. UX 360 Europe is one of the Europe's leading events dedicated to advancing UX research as a strategic and business driving function. The summit brings together global speakers, practical case study, and actionable frameworks focused on the full research journey, from planning and execution to stakeholder alignment and business impact. Attendees can expect sessions on cutting-edge strategy, real-world return on investment, and the evolving role of research in today's organization. I will be there as well, and if you work in UX research, design, or product, this is truly one of the unmissable UXR events in Europe. And as a listener of the UX Research Club podcast, you get 15% off on your ticket with the code UXRC15, UXRC15. All the information will be in the note of this podcast. Hello everybody and welcome back to the second season of the UX Research Club, the podcast that is dedicated to the rising field of user research. This is Emmanuel, your host. Who is this show for? It is for everyone actually, everyone interested in UX, product development, digital transformation. Whether you are working in a large organization or for a startup, this podcast is for you. You can also find a lot of information about user research by reading my book, Practical User Research, which covers how to integrate user research to your product development. Details will be in the description of this podcast. I would like to say a big thank you to all of you which have been encouraging me and sending me messages of support following the first season release. And I can see that the UX Research Club is getting more and more listeners. This podcast is not only to evangelize UX research, but also to support the UX research community. I'm doing this on the side of my current work, and it takes quite a bit of time and energy to create, record, edit, and release the episode. So if you like or if you want to support the UX Research Club, you can start by giving some stars. We really love stars. You can also talk to your colleagues, friends, and team members about the UX Research Club. You can also write a review and share it on your social media, inviting people to listen to it. And you can also buy me a coffee. The link is in the description of the podcast. You are about to launch a product or a new feature. You are still at the early stage of your product development. Your product is live and your analytics are irregular and you want to understand why. You want to understand your users, understand the market. You want to test a new feature. You may have 100 reasons that will trigger your appetite for doing UX research. So now what? This episode will take you through all the steps that you need to follow before making a research request. This episode is not about preparing a research plan. It is about to take you through what you need to do before you can ask a researcher in your org, commission an agency, or hire a contractor to do the research for you. There is a clear step-by-step process to go through before commissioning a research project. The process may vary depending on the stage or the phase you are in. I highly recommend that you start conducting research as early as possible. As mentioned in episode 4, season 1, skipping the discovery phase is a common practice. The discovery phase is the most important research part of the product development. The discovery phase enables you to understand the end user, the business needs, and understand who your users are. This episode will also cover the question you need to ask yourself. What should be in your brief? How to build a case to get a budget? and what would be the best option, whether or not you have in-house researcher to carry the research for you. But the first thing you need to find out is who are the relevant people to speak with. Another very important point is how to get the budget to conduct your research, as it may influence and affect which approach you may be able to take. Why do you want to include user research to your project? How to get a researcher? And finally, who do you need to involve in this project? Let's start with a question you need to ask yourself. Make a list of the people you want to speak with, people who may have some specific expertise. Anyone that actually you think will be very valuable to incorporate at the early stage of your project that will be able to help you with the preparation of your research project. For example, you may want to speak with someone who has been in the organization for a while and know where to locate all the different projects which has been done in the past. You may want to have several project managers because they may be also interested in the research you are planning to commission. You may have also architects, analytics people. You may also have people from market research or insights, UX researcher if you have a team in-house, and also finance. It's very important also to involve finance. So now let's start with the most important question you need an answer. What do you try to achieve? Let's pretend that you are a product manager and that you want some research for your product. Before starting to build a new service, a product, or a feature, it is essential that you ask yourself a few questions. What are you trying to build, solve, or sell? What is the reason for creating this new service or this new product? For example, before creating a new digital service, let's say for the government, you have to have an objective or a vision of why you want to create this digital service. I would say for government, the main reason to create a digital service, such as an online application to apply for visa or to renew a passport or to change the address on your driving license, is to optimize the processes, reduce the cost, and remove the paper process. Here are other examples and objectives. You may want to sell a new product and have to create a new section on your e-commerce website. It may be that you already introduce a new product, but your stats from the analytics do not show any increase of traffic or even sales. You may want to reduce the amount of emails your employee gets and want to improve the collaboration in your organization. So you want to put in place a new intranet, which will solve those issues. Sometimes you want to replace an existing product or get a new supplier. You may want to replace a burning platform, meaning a platform that has been replaced probably because they haven't renewed the contract. So before starting your project and requesting your research, you need to have a clear idea of what you are trying to do, what problem you are solving or you are trying to solve, and the reason why you want to do it. Once you know all that, put it down in writing. It is very important to document everything. Now, another important point is there any legacy product? Once you know what you are trying to do, you should make an account of which tool, platform, and services your business are currently using. That will be impacted or may be impacted by your new product or your new feature. If you are building a new product, you may not have to go through the legacy product investigation, but I will recommend that you start looking at what and which technology your competitors are using. Other question you need to ask yourself: do you have a current online platform or a website or an app or multiple sites or multiple apps? Do you have an existing supplier? You want to find out what is the current situation with them. Are you trying to replace a burning platform or are you looking for a new supplier? What are the implications of getting a new supplier? Or is it a service you want to provide or is it a product or both? Is it a service? It is a digital service, or do you want to offer also a non-digital service? Is it a product? Do you have competitors? All those questions need some answers. If it is a new product, you need to evaluate if there is any competitors in the market. So there definitely you will need some research. What they have done, what is currently working for them, what is not really working for them. Try to understand what you could do to improve what your competitors are doing. As you can see, you've got so many questions to answer before you start commissioning a UX research. But now that you have made a list of all the people you want to speak with, you have a clear idea of what you want to achieve, and you have evaluated the legacy product. So what are you going to do next? The next question you need to ask yourself is, do you need research? I highly recommend you discuss this with a senior person or head of research who can advise you and support you on whether or not you need some UX research. This can help you to shape your brief, and this will also evaluate if you need a specific type of research. If you don't have any user researcher in your organization, it is always possible to contact user research through a research community, a UX event, or even through LinkedIn and Twitter. You can also contact an agency or some contractors who can also advise you during that stage. So ask yourself, does my product or service involve users? If it doesn't include the end user, you will probably not require any user research. This sounds logical, no? But good to ask yourself first if your product or service is going to have any end users. The main thing that research will provide answer to will be who are the user, what are their needs, and how they are interacting or will interact with your product. Before commissioning a UX research, you need to already check what do you already know. If you want to save time and money, please look at what is already documented in your organization, such as previous research, previous project, which may have been stopped for X or Y reason, and they may have some similarities. Anything from marketing, social behavior, UX, design, analytics, insights, etc. External report from agency and any knowledge related to user, customer, clients will be super helpful. This will help you to identify the gap of knowledge and identify what you need to investigate and where you need to carry some more research. At the beginning of every project, it is crucial to identify what you already know. That will also help you to identify what you don't know. This will also help to prioritize what you want to know. This is a good time to open a blank document and start making a list of what you want to know. This includes any question that is coming or which are coming into your head. What do you need to find out? At every stage of a product development, we want to find out certain things, such as who the user are, including the different type of users, such as assisted digital, accessibility user, different location, different language, etc., etc. How they are using the product and the services and why. What is their motivation? What is the end-to-end user journey? What is the traffic, etc.? Do you want to get a better understanding of your product or your competitor? So many questions you want to ask. User research will support you to get all the answers, whatever are your questions. Now that you know what you try to achieve, what will be the technical constraints, you also know then you have some end user or will have some end user, so you need some user research, UX research, I mean. You have looked at previous knowledge which is available. So now you are ready to prepare a brief. A brief will inform the researcher as well as the research agency, whatever you are using, and it will also help you to get a cost. So now we can move to the next phase, getting your high-level brief ready. So what do you need to put in your brief? You will have to put some background information about your business or business unit. What are the business objectives? What you try to achieve? What you try to solve? What are the constraints, technical and non-technical? Which stage is your product, etc., etc. What you already know about the product you want to do, if there is any previous research, and please put all the links of previous research which are available for the researcher to be able to reevaluate it. And also what is very important is a list of all the questions you have and you want some answers. And on top of that, you need to add any timeline, deadline, such as board meeting, feature release, dependency, etc. If you have a user research capability in-house, you should ask the team if they have any template or form which can help you to complete to put your brief into it. The form will help you to get a better idea of what they need actually to evaluate your request. I will also recommend that you are doing a face-to-face meeting with the head of research or lead researcher and ask them some more questions which are related to the brief. They can ask you questions and you can also ask them some questions. This is good for them to get a better understanding of what is needed. If you don't have a user UX research capability in-house, you can use an agency or request a freelance or a contractor to supply you a brief form and discuss with them what you would like to do. If the brief does not provide enough information, the researcher or the agency should organize a workshop with the stakeholders and with you to get a better understanding of what you are trying to do. For the following reason: to understand the aim of the research project, to draft the research question, to understand who the participant users are or will be, to find out the time frame, etc., etc. Often, when we ask clients when they want the result, they tend to say yesterday. So bear in mind, it takes a bit of time to do the research. It can be fast, but it can't be done for yesterday. If you are fortunate enough and have already planned ahead that you will have some research in your project and you already have the budget for it, you can just start sending the brief to the research team and start discussing it, and then you can start. If you need to get a budget to commission internal or external research, you will need to build a case to get budget approval. Now, moving to building a case if you need a budget. If you don't have a budget to carry out the UX research that you need for your product, I highly recommend that you build a case carefully and show the value and the return on investment to undertake UX research. Last season, I dedicated an episode on the ROI of doing UX research, and I highly recommend you to have a listen if you want to have some argument to get your budget. Another point I would like to make, and I would like to advise you, don't discuss user research, UX research in the hallway or in the corridor with your stakeholders. If you want to get a budget, you should have a strong case in order for your stakeholders to understand the benefit of doing user research. If you have already done all the planning, you can prepare a beautiful deck explaining what you are trying to do with your product or service. You want to also present why now you need to conduct research and what will be the return on investment and how it's also going to limit the risk. You can also present some kind of a recap of what you already found out with your analytics and previous research, etc. It is always important to find out what are the goals of your stakeholders as well, because you need to consider their needs too in your proposal. That will help you to get them on board and you'll be more likely to get some budget. What do I mean by building a case? You need to make sure that you are not reinventing the wheel. You need to have a clear account of what you are trying to do and why, what are the benefits, why you are doing it, and what are the risks of not doing it. It is essential to include some numbers that will speak to the decision makers. Once you have a high level plan, you are building your case, then you can start thinking about the resources that you may need for your research project. If you have an agile team, I recommend getting a user researcher, which is going to be allocated to the Scrum team. It is essential for any solution, any researcher that you are going to take on board, that they understand the culture, not only in your organization, but also the culture of your team and your product team. You may have different avenues in order to get a UX researcher. If you've got an internal research team in your organization, please speak with your head of research or director of research or lead researcher, and they may help you to supply a researcher for your project. You can also speak to external IT agency, which are already your supplier. They may be also to supply some UX researcher, especially they already have a contract and a statement of work with you, so that will probably be easier for them to get a third party or a contractor on board as part of their offerings. You can also recruit a contractor or freelance through diverse avenues, such as a job board, recruitment agencies, which are specialized in contractors. Many researchers, which are contractors, are excellent, sometimes much better than the ones supplied by big agencies. You can also look at agencies specialized in UX in general. Be careful that some design agencies say they have researchers, and at the end, you end up having a designer that will be more a generalist consultant. What you are looking for, it's a researcher with strong research skill set. UX research contractor will be probably cheaper than the UX IT agency and generally stronger researcher that will be offering a tailored service. if you can afford an agency, I will recommend a specialized UX research agency that will offer expert researchers. So once you spoke with them, you can have a cost based on your brief, and you can add this cost to your business case. Getting your first budget for user research is not easy, especially when your organization don't have much maturity about including user research to their product development. So doing research can be perceived sometimes as expensive. I say perceived because if you listen the return on investment episode related to user research, you will definitely have the argument why it is not expensive to do user research. It is not always easy to sell user research to your organization, and that I really understand this. And this is because many companies do not have a good understanding of what user research is. If you need to learn more about what is UX research and have more argument with your stakeholders and the decision maker, I will highly recommend you to listen to season 1 and the origin of UX research, as well as the UX research is far more than usability. It is essential to adapt your argument depending on your audience, So make sure when you prepare your case and create your deck, take into consideration who you are going to speak with and which people are going to be the one who are going to make the decision for your budget. Now that you have your budget, your brief is ready, you can start interacting with the researcher or with the agency to work on the research plan. So in this episode today, we looked at what you need to do before commissioning a UX research project. This includes asking yourself several questions, such as who are the people that you need to speak with, and making a list of who you want to speak with. What do you try to achieve? Do you have any legacy product or technical constraints? Who are your end users, or who will be your end user? What do you already know? All this will help you to start getting your brief ready, building a case for the decision makers, costing the research, and getting the budgets. Once you have all those documentation ready and your budget is approved, you can start interacting with the researcher that will work on your research plan. In the next episode, I will be going through how to prepare a research plan. I hope you find this episode useful, and thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode today, and if you have any question or a topic you would like me to cover, you can contact me on info@uxresearchclub.com. You can also find a lot of information about user research by reading my book, Practical User Research, which covers how to integrate user research into your product development. Detail will be in the description of this podcast. And finally, if you want to support the UX Research Club, please share it with your network on social media, or please write a review or give me some stars. I'll see you next week for a new episode, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.